Welcome to Fueling Your Legacy, hosted by Samuel Knickerbocker. Each week, we expose the faulty foundational mindsets of the past and rebuild a new, stronger foundation essential in creating your legacy. We've got a lot of work to do, so let's get started. Welcome back to Fuel Your Legacy, and this week we are going to be specifically talking about positive psychology and how we can learn to be happy in all situations. Our guest this Friday is going to be Dr. Paul Jenkins. He is awesome. He has a YouTube channel that's very highly watched and I would say read, but mostly watched. That is called Live Life on Purpose. I would strongly suggest go check it out. You're going to have a chance today, on Wednesday, and then Friday. And then Friday, we're actually going to hear from him. On Wednesday, we're going to be doing a book review on Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. So if you haven't heard of that book, I would strongly suggest go and check that out. It's probably about 2 or 3 hours worth of listening to on Audible, or you can read it. I would say it's a shorter read, but not a long book, but absolutely life-changing. So that's what we're going to be talking about then. But today I'm going to introduce the topic of positive psychology. So what is it? Why is it important? And how can we apply it into our lives? So positive psychology is essentially learning to change situations from a negative standpoint into a more positive standpoint. And my experience is that initially, this is really difficult for people to understand because what it requires is for people to take complete ownership of their situation. People often don't want to take ownership. It's easier to place blame on other people. It's easier to discount their own role in their life because if it's somebody else's fault, then they don't have to change. It's an interesting thing because for myself, one of my favorite things about life is that it's up to me, that I am able to change, and that I'm able to influence every circumstance that I'm in. So it does take time to change your mindset from the negative mindset where you're allowing things to happen to you and change that into a positive mindset where you are now in control and that everything that's happening, you're saying, okay, this is happening for me. How can I learn from this? And so it does cause a lot of reframing. It causes you to really look into your childhood and say, okay, why do I believe these things about myself? Why do I believe and respond this way? As I have helped people over time kind of dig deep into this thought process, one of the biggest things that's necessary is when you start to learn to take ownership, you actually have to start defining language. And it's so interesting because we as humans, we use words all the time and we think that they have meaning, but really most of the words that we use, they only have meaning in context of a conversation, which means that if you're trying to express a feeling to somebody, if somebody thinks they're in a different context than you're saying them, then you're miscommunicating. And unfortunately, that happens to yourself. So when you start to tell yourself a story about something, then you end up telling yourself a story that you don't really believe or that you don't want to believe or that you believe too much and it's detrimental. It's not how you meant it. There's a lot of different scenarios where that can be. So I would invite you to think about what stories am I telling myself and what meaning am I giving those stories? Okay, so what stories am I telling myself, number one? Number two is what meaning am I giving those stories? And then why is it that meaning, number three? And then let's really get clear on what are the words we're using to describe an event or describe the facts and how they feel, okay? And so for me, it has happened over and over and over in my life where I've had to redefine the words that I was using, because sometimes the words that I was using were not conveying the meaning and intent of what I wanted to convey. And thankfully, my wife she's an angel. My wife is the best. And thankfully, she'll call me out on something. If I say something thinking I'm communicating, she's like, that's not what I think, or I agree with, or I don't understand that, then she'll ask for clarification. That's really, really essential, especially when you have a coach or a therapist. Sometimes they'll just listen to you and they'll let you tell your problems and then that's it, right? And I understand that there's some women out there saying, this is all I want. I just want people to listen to me. And I'm going to say something right now that's very unpopular, okay? Some people may believe that. Some people may believe that all they want is a listening ear. And I've complained sometimes to my wife, and ultimately I'm not going to change the situation. But I think that what we really want is we want us to live in a state of happiness. We want to live in a state of peace. And we think that by not confronting things, by not chasing the definitions, by not allowing somebody to challenge our belief structure, then it's more peaceful than growth. And I would say that's not ultimately more peaceful. Ultimately, what's going to happen if you keep ignoring these feelings that keep coming up and you just need to keep on venting, ultimately what's going to happen is they're going to stay and persist in your life. So if you actually want these principles, these habits, these things that keep coming up to actually leave your life permanently, then you have to confront them. You have to go into them. Now, to do that, it's very advisable to have somebody who can help you reframe things from a positive perspective, to find the silver lining in everything. And that is really what the story of positive psychology is for me. I'm super excited for you guys to get to hear from Dr. Paul, because he is just incredible with the work that he does, but he also is very knowledgeable in the process of helping people understand at what level of psychology they really need to be playing at, and how to process things, not from so many people, when they process their life, the stories that they tell themselves are stories of shame, guilt, self-mutilation, verbal abuse, things like that they're telling themselves. And if you just learn a little bit of things about how to reframe things in a positive, it actually turns into empowerment, joy, happiness, peace, progress. And that's really the goal of this week, is to help you gain perspective on how that can happen. Our podcast on Wednesday about Man's Search for Meaning, you have to think about, this guy was in a Nazi concentration camp, and he survived simply and specifically because of his thoughts and where he was willing to put his mind. So just stew on that. If you haven't read the book, go get it. But we're going to be doing a book review on Wednesday to give a little bit more of the details and how you can apply specific things that he teaches from the book into your life. So with that being said, I do want to give a quick announcement here again. My website, samknickerbocker.com. You can go and get everything from me there. You can get the webinar. You can get my ebook. You can find out where I'm speaking. You can take a short money quiz if you're interested in what your financial knowledge is and how you rank with the average American. You can go and take that quiz there. It's 5 questions, super easy, and won't take very long at all. And then also you can see where I am speaking, the different speaking engagements that I have over the next few months, and how that can bless your life. I promise you, it's going to bless your life. So in an effort to help people gain access to these things, the first 2 people to take a screenshot of this episode, of you listening to this episode, and tag me on either Instagram or Facebook, I will be giving you a free ticket to the Next Generation Legacy and Wealth Workshop. That is on May 11th in Sandy, Utah. You do not want to miss it. If you're curious about some of the things we're going to talk about, go check out my Facebook. There's a video of me and Travis Brady doing a little video interview. Over the next few weeks, you're also going to be able to see different interviews with me on that Facebook Live on the page there. Me with different of the panel speakers who are going to be there. It's going to be fantastic. You're definitely going to have your mind blown financially, and not just from a financial tactical standpoint, but from a legacy and what does it mean standpoint, because meaning is so important, and the meaning we ascribe to things literally can change the whole outcome of our lives. And so how to learn how to place the right meaning on things is a crucial skill that we're going to be teaching. So with that being said, we will catch you next time on Fuel Your Legacy. Thanks for all that you do and all that you serve those around you. Thanks for joining us today. If what you heard resonated with you, please like, comment, and share on social media. Tag me so I can give you a shout out on the next episode. And thanks to all those who have left a review. It helps spread the message of what it really takes to build a legacy that lasts. Catch you next time on Fueling Your Legacy.